This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone, and welcome to the second episode of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be here again. Joined again this week by Calum McClurkin. Calum, been a busy week in the racing front. How you been?
Yeah, all good here. Thanks for asking me on.
No worries, mate. What's been happening? What you been following this week? Just pick a horse that we'll obviously get into the recap, but pick a horse that's kind of caught your eye over the past week that the viewers can follow quickly.
Dussart was very good at Newbury last week.
Yeah,
Jumped 16-1 for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. He's a half brother to Seven Sig for owner Ronnie Bartlett. From Airdrie, of course. Proud Scot. He would be desperate to have a winner early doors at Cheltenham with Galvin and National Hunt Chase.
yeah, it's looking good.
With Dussart.
Yeah, we'll talk about Dussart more in the recap. We'll move on to the news. What's been happening in the world of jump racing over the past week? Just one big thing to touch on. RSA winner in 2019, top of the game, is ruled out again, sadly. He won't make Cheltenham. I think he's a reoccurrence of his leg injury. This is quite gutting for me because I thought top of the game, after when that RSA was electric, I thought obviously the year off he would come back a much better horse, but just sad not to have him again this year.
Yeah, it's just a wee recurrence of a tendon injury, and it's unfortunate for all connections because he was going to make his reappearance in the Ladbroke Trophy, and obviously comparisons with Denman in a weak carrying performance for Paul Nicholls might have been quite something to really start the season off. But yeah, disappointing. He was some horse, won the RSA. I think Harry Cobden gave him a peach of a ride as well. Just kind of stopped Delta Work and Santini and pounced well at the last and jumped it better than the other two. And those two have done quite well for themselves. They've both won Grade 1. So yeah, they're very classy operators, and it's a shame because top of the game looked to be the best of all three, and he would have had a really leading chance in his comeback for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Yeah,
obviously this will be the second year he's missed since the RSA. Do you think there is any chance he could come back to that form of 2 years ago?
I think there's a chance because the trainer's very he's quite patient with his horses. He's just had next destination over who's been off track for years, so he is willing to ride it out. And when there's a talented one like that comes along, but it was interesting because he was second in a major handicap at Cheltenham over hurdles before going into the fences, and he had a setback over the fences as well. When he started as a novice, he fell in his first start.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was quite a recovery mission. He's been through a lot as well. At Exeter as well, when he made his reappearance the second time from fences, he did something that I've never really seen before. And when the tape went down, he actually shirked the tape, turned round and lost 50 lengths at the start, and he almost made it up. It was an incredible effort, and he was only beaten in the end by Defi Desoy by 5 lengths in the end. Giving him 3 or 4 furlong start in the end. It really was quite something. So yeah, he's a bit of an enigma, and with such a big horse and these tendon injuries that keep creeping up, it's going to be against him. But I wouldn't entirely rule out a comeback.
Yeah, but we're definitely going to wish all our best to the connections of top of the game. Hope to see him back next year. We'll move on to the recap. What's been happening in the past week in the racing world? We'll start on Thursday at Kempton, as we spoke about earlier. Dussart won a 2-mile novice hurdle for Nicky Henderson and Nico de Boinville, beat Soaring Glory. It was a really, really good battle. I thought it was really good, but Dussart was electric. I think Dussart could be a serious contender on the Supreme if he goes there, and maybe even Ballymore.
Yeah, I think he's all speed, so I would expect him to go to the Supreme. He was good. He beat Soaring Glory of John Joe Neal's. He was favourite, and he was giving him weight in the process as well.
Yeah.
And the best thing I liked about the performance was he absolutely winged the last. The favourite came to challenge him, and then he just pulled out more on the bridle as well.
Yeah.
Which was very impressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up on Soaring Glory as well. I think Soaring Glory could be a potential decent horse. I think just get done for speed in the last. But I thought Dussart was on. Do you think he's in the mould of Shishkin and Altior and that kind of? Do you think, what's the kind of comparison for you for Dussart compared to the other?
I think it's too early to tell at the minute. I mean,
yeah.
I think it was Newbury actually, and I think he's quite a stiff track, and Henderson likes to send his best novices there. So I think he's going to take high rank for Nicky Henderson. Whether he can take his higher rank as the likes of Altior and Shishkin, I think is open to question for now. But yeah, he's certainly an interesting one to move forward.
Yeah, he's certainly one to watch. We'll move on to Saturday at Aintree. Just want to mention Somerville boy won the William Hill hurdle over 2 mile 4, beat Chittibello. He's into 16-1 for the Stairs hurdle. Obviously a former Supreme winner. Were you impressed?
I was, because he won it like he did the Supreme. It was just a really battling, hardy performance from him. He didn't quite stay last year in the Stairs hurdle. He was ridden to stay, but he didn't quite get home when he finished 5th. It was quite an honourable effort. He was just one paced. I think he's hard to place though now. I think there's no real grade 1 in the intermediate trip, which seems to suit him. So he also quite likes soft ground.
Yeah.
But he's just a battling horse, and a rate of 155. I mean, top weight, a Coral Cup, something like that, might be more suitable than a graded assignment for him. Over 3 mile or 2 mile, it's a bit in between for him. So the way he battles and the way he fights, he can find well for a Coral Cup, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. On to Wincanton, Gallo got a solo in the Rising Stars Novices Chase. I was very disappointed in the favourite, Grand Sonsi. I thought he would be a potential star over fences. Nah, I didn't look at. Gallo ran well, though, into 25 to the Marsh. Like, who was your kind of takeaways for that race?
It fell apart a bit. I think the winner kind of stole it from the front a bit, and Grand Sonsi jumped horribly left all the way through it. Bad mistakes, was never really getting into contention. I think the form's highly questionable, to be honest. But you can't take away the winner. You know, he can only go out and beat what he did. So it was a 3-runner race, but he'll need to step up big time, I think, to be a Cheltenham factor.
Definitely. And the big race on Saturday in Wincanton was the Elite Hurdle. So Royal, he's been one of those horses that I've kind of struggled to pinpoint in the past couple of years, but since he's come back to hurdles, he's looked excellent. Won it very well. Was very, very impressive. He's into 20s for the champion hurdle. The horse that disappointed me was Solo. Was last year's favourite for the Triumph hurdle. He was very poor. I just don't know if he's as good as he was made out to be as well. I think he won a very poor race last year at was it the Adonis one?
Aye, Kempton.
Yeah, I don't think that form is good, and I don't think he ran well at Cheltenham. So Royal, though, I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, he did what he was entitled to do. I mean, he was all class. Solo was also had to give weight to him. And it's an 8-year-old at mid 160s rated, you know, over fences and hurdles. So you're going to have a lot of fun over both codes with him. I still think Champion Chase is more likely option than Champion. But it opens up the avenue to see what race kind of falls apart first. Fast ground is key to him as well. So he's definitely a spring horse and an early autumn horse. So I don't think we'll see much of him in winter. Alan King's horse is in really good form right now. Yeah,
no, he's been a trainer that's caught my eye recently with his form. Sunday in Navan, a few horses to mention. First of all, Ngolo won the 4-action novice hurdle. Esky Lane was in this race as well. I thought he was very disappointing. It was 5th in the bumper. But Ngolo again battled hard to win. It just looks like he's kind of that champagne fever mould, that battle hardened horse. He'd done well to beat Malone Road as well just before this. That was his first start before this. But he's into 33s for the Supreme. I would say that's probably fair. But what was your kind of takeaways for this race, Cal?
Willie Mullins said that Paul Townend gave Ngolo one of the best rides he's ever seen, which is quite something from him. He had to give £7 to a decent field. You know, I mean, Esky Lane was in there, wide receiver was quite good as well. The next target's Royal Bond, which is over a minute trip against more speedier sorts than him. You think he might come into his own over a wee bit further? So I think he's more of a Ballamore contender than than a Supreme contender. But I thought his jumping was excellent.
Yeah, I thought he jumped well as well. We'll move on to the Lismullen hurdle. Sire de Berley won it over 2 mile 4. 2-time per temps winner, very, very impressive. I thought it was certainly one of my bets of the day on Sunday. I was really, really looking forward to seeing him go. Super Sunday as well was also in the race. Rolling Pump fell. It was entitled to win the race. It was a very decent performance. But do you think 8-1 in the Stairs is a bit too short just now?
I think it's a fair price. I think this is an ominous sign, and probably the horse that you have to take out going to Cheltenham Festival from this weekend. He was very good over a trip that's too short from
Yeah.
the Canadian going, and you can just see him coming in the last, and he's just gradually getting there and getting there and getting there. He gets the job done. He did it twice in the Pertomps. Usually he needs a run as well, or two. The fact he won a Grade 2 race in his reappearance. He's only 8 years old as well, so yeah, and he travelled. That's the best I've ever seen him travel as well.
Yeah.
Normally bumping on and off the bridle, I mean, remember the first Pertomp that he won with Barry Geraghty? He was niggling him all the way throughout.
Yeah, but that was one of the best. That was one of the best rides you'll ever see. By jockey to get him up.
He was bouncing up and down like a rocking horse.
I know, it's crazy.
Coming around the bend, you think this can't pick up and win, but he finds and he gets the job done. And the last year's Stairs hurdle form does not look good at all. And I think Gordon Elliott has been eyeing it up with Sadly Belly and Fury Road, and I think it's an opportunity here. And I think 8-1 is quite fair. Yeah,
I think the Stairs hurdle could be very, very interesting if all the horses we think are going to go. We'll move on to the Toe Forcer Chase. We were excited to see the return of Aplutard, but over 2 miles, I just didn't think he jumped well enough. Possibly a trip that's too short, but again, he's won over 2 miles in the past, so I don't know what to take away from it. Castlegrace Paddy won the race, but it was all about Aplutard for me. I thought if Aplutard jumped, he was going to win, but Castlegrace Paddy obviously done what he needed to do. But what were your kind of thoughts, Calum? I was disappointed with Aplutard.
It was a bit disappointing. It was a bit of an experiment to kind of, let's see if we can hold them up and see if he really has the pace to go over 2 miles, and the answer was no in the end. I mean, he was race fit when he bullied Jack and Pursoir from the front last season, and he's got a mark of 167 now, which does seem to flatter him a bit, given his form after that. He was just a bit too slow over his fences, and Castlewell West, he just nicked it from the front, and he's exposed 9-year-old. Okay, he'll have his day in the sun in Grade 2 level, but he's not really going to be a factor for Cheltenham, we'd think. So yeah, he's going to be up and trip 2.5 miles. Looks like a bare minimum at the minute. Could possibly get 3 according to.
Yeah, do you think this just proves the point that the Ryanair is the race is going to go for? Like,
it definitely proved the point that it can't go champion chase. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm potentially will see him over Christmas, and I would imagine in a further trip, but I was expecting a lot more from Aplutard. But we'll move on to just one more horse to touch on it. Navan on Sunday was easy work, won the beginner's chase over 2 mile, 1 furlong. 25 to the Marsh. I thought it was very, very impressive. I thought he jumped pretty well.
He did, and this is a very unique race that he's won because Fakir Duderay, Us and Them, and Footpad have all won it, and those Arkle figures are 2-2-1.
Yeah.
In the last 3 seasons. But before that, Annabelle Fly won it, and Gil Gamboa won it, and they've been 4th in a Grand National.
So the form's
2 mile and 4 mile operators go well here. And I think Easy Work can be pinned in towards the latter, even though he showed quite good pace to be embittered.
Yeah.
I think he'll be better over further, and I think he'll probably clash with Envoy Allen again, maybe over the intermediate trip sooner rather than later this season. Yeah,
I think it's potentially, as we said, I think it was looking at the Drinmore as well. I think that came up potentially. I think Gordon Elliott was talking about the Drinmore, but very good performance from Easy Work. Sandown on Sunday, just a couple to touch on. Pam beat After Cap Fits in the Future Stars Chase. I don't really know. I didn't know what to make of this race, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a classic intermediate race. If the Cap Fits didn't find much, he was pretty poor. But he actually jumped better than he did in the debut, but he was just drowned out by Pim, who goes well fresh and needs good ground. But he's going to be in the mid-150s now. And he was well held in the RSA last year. He's not for 4 over in graded company. So, yeah, he's going to be, both of them, I think, are going to be quite hard to place now. And they're not really Cheltenham class, I don't think.
Yeah, I would run with that. And we'll move on to a horse I like. Mr. Coffey won a handicap hurdle over 2 miles. Difficult to say if he's going to stay. I think he's probably handicaps are the right destination for him, but he done what I had to do. I thought he jumped pretty well.
He did, made a mockery of a mark of 128, bolted up by lengths. I think Nicky Henderson's he's really been minding him for quite some time after he pulled incredibly hard when he get beat at 183 the last season and his second last start. He was being touted as a supreme contender before then. So I think fences seems to be the plan.
Right.
Going on with him, so maybe Arco route or something like that might be an option. He'll probably bump into Shishkin if he goes that way. He was very impressive. And I think he'll probably be better over fences. And on the day he won, he was sweating like a mad thing. I've never seen anything quite like it. For a race in November, he was sweating up as if it was Ascot. Summer, it was incredible. But yeah, he was very good. Yeah,
it was good. I'll obviously get beat 1-3 last year, but he was one of my fancies. I fancied him kind of back to him about 33s for the Supreme, and obviously didn't turn up, but he's certainly one to watch. Just a couple to touch on Tuesday. First at Fairyhouse, we had Stand Up and Fight, won the Hunter's Chase, beating Billaway. Stand Up and Fight is now into 14 for the Fox Hunters. Hard to predict the Fox Hunters at this time of the year, but I thought Stand Up and Fight done very well to win.
Yeah, particularly after a fairly long layoff, because I think the think about giving up in the chasing game and going cross country with him before this. Billaway absolutely blundered the last one, travelling far better. He's only 8, and I think he's probably the one to take out for the Fox Hunters, and he's favourite with most firms at the minute. So I think he's probably the one to take out. It came to pass. Defending champion was 4th, and didn't really like the deep ground, so would entirely write him off.
It was a good performance from Stand Up and Fight. Final horse, Master Tommy Tucker, won at the intermediate chase at Carlisle on Tuesday. This horse infuriated me last season. Just jumped like a madman. Just a crazy jumper, but very good traveller. I thought it was probably his best performance we've seen on Tuesday. I thought he jumped pretty well. He was into 33s for the Ryanair. He's probably not good enough, but I thought a horse I followed a lot. I think he's done a pretty good job to win on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think he's a flat track horse as well. I think Kempton suits more than Cheltenham. It was good to get his confidence back. He jumped rather well in the main. But this was an intermediate chase, and it was a match between him and Precious Cargo. And one liked the trip and one liked the ground, and the other one didn't. I think it was simple as that. So I think the runner-up, Precious Cargo, might be the one to take it for handicap purposes at Cheltenham when it's a bit softer and maybe wants a bit further as well.
Definitely. And that was the recap for the week. We'll move on to our first race preview of the series. We are going to preview the big race in the first day. We're going to preview the Unibet Champion Hurdle. This race has seen some outstanding winners in the past few years. I just want to ask you, Calum, what was your favourite winner of the Champion Hurdle?
Favourite winner? Ante Power.
Ante Power. I was there. I was there that day. I've never seen a rower as good. I've been to numerous football games, numerous golf tournaments. I've seen some big moments, but I've never seen a roar like that when Ante Power jumped that last hurdle that year. It was unbelievable. One of the best memories I can remember. But we'll look at the betting. We'll look at the betting for this year's obviously defending champion. Epatone is at 7-2, Goshen 5-1, Abacadabra 7-1, San Roy for Willie Mullins at 15-2, Envoy 11 at 10-1, Honeysuckle 12s, Shishkin 16s and 20-1 bar. Calum, obviously way too early to make predictions, but what's your kind of thinking right now for the champion hurdle? Like what's the horse to follow out of the names I've mentioned?
Well, Epatone is the favourite and rightfully so. I think rated 162 now after winning by 3 lengths last time in the renewal. The worry for her last year was the fairly soft ground that she was going to encounter in the champion hurdle. She dealt with quite easily. Most people think that it was a poor renewal, and Chartres being 3 lengths behind in ground that he probably didn't appreciate would indicate that. I think she's certainly the right favourite. So 162, and that's £7 that she receives. I think it's a
massive. Yeah,
massive
it's massive.
bonus.
Yeah.
You know, Ante Post used it to similar effect. I think it was the difference between, it wasn't the difference between winning and losing, but it was the difference in really making it look very comfortable. She travelled the best throughout as well. She's proved that at Kempton she can handle speed tracks, she can handle a wee bit of a stamina test, strong pace, not so much pace. Yeah, she's definitely setting the standard, and it's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah. Do we think she's going to go straight to the Christmas hurdle, or could we see her beforehand?
I think you normally go Bouvier route. I think she'll be fighting fifth first at Newcastle, Christmas hurdle, and then straight to Cheltenham, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's looking like it. We'll touch on Goshen, 5-1. Obviously, was going to win the Triumph Hurdle by the length of the straight. If he'd jumped the last fence, it was gutting for Gary and Jamie Moore. But I think with a lot of thinking going into him in the flat. He had 2 poor runs in the flat, but I don't know what to make of Goshen. I want to see Goshen again. I want to see Goshen again round Cheltenham. I want to see. My big quip with him last year was, could they go left-handed? We saw last year he took to Cheltenham pretty well, apart from the last hurdle. But he's potentially a freak. Gary Moore's called him a freak, but again, we're just looking to see Goshen again jumping.
He is a freak, but I think he's kind of the wrong kind of freak. I think he's a bit of a head case, to be honest. I mean, the quotes as short as 5s for
it's too short.
For him is short and ridiculous. I think if you scan through all the market for the main races, this is the worst bet that you could possibly find at the minute.
Do you think so? Yeah, I think
he'd been turned over at evens. He'd been turned over at 1-3 on the flat.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one could arguably be excused, but people after the Triumph for Tottenham is a potential Ebor winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowhere near that class in the flat at all. He's rated mid 150s anyway, which means he's probably going to find a stone on top of his Triumph form to trouble Epicure. And I just can't see it at the minute. Obviously, want to see him again. Obviously, want to see him much better at his old self. Maybe jumping, get his confidence restored somehow. But yeah, it's a big ask for me, and he's way too short. Yeah,
we're going to get a big idea about the next 2 in the market this weekend. We're going to see Abacadabras against San Roy and the Morgiana. We'll touch on the Morgiana later on, but I think this could be both these horses have got a chance, but I would say Abacadabras will obviously need to jump better and will need to find more off the bridle. And I think San Roy, the improvement in San Roy has been absolutely tremendous since probably this time last year. To win the county hurdle the way he did, I thought was amazing.
Yeah, Abacadabras rated 158, so he's got another £6 or £7, and Epicure still got potential to improve as well. He probably needed the run behind Aspire Tower, I think. Willing to forgive him. I think he needs better ground as well. I don't think he quite liked the ground at Cheltenham either. And it was quite soft in his reappearance as well. I don't think he's going to get his ground either in the Morgiana.
I don't either.
He might not even run. I wouldn't surprise me if he's pulled out late.
Yeah.
But he's talented. He's not going to give up on it. I think a big strong pace, a big field in the champion hurdle will see the best out of him, like we did in the Supreme. So I wouldn't entirely rule him out yet.
Yeah, potentially. San Roy, I think, as I said, the improvement in him has been outstanding. Just to go from where he did at the start of last season to be winning a county hurdle the way he did. And Arimon's obviously franked to form with his very good performance in the Galway hurdle. I think San Roy could be the sleeper here. I really do.
Definitely, the way he's been back suggests that, for the Morgiana. I mean, 20-1 wasn't long taken up after he won the county hurdle for this, and now he's 15-2, and that says a lot about his confidence. He's only hit 4 runs ever.
Yeah.
4 runs in the hurdles, all by different jockeys, interestingly enough, that have been on him. He's young, he's unexposed, he's now rated 156. You can imagine him finding enough to probably trouble Epicure, and he's owned by JP McManus as well, who seems to win these things all the time. So a hell of a lot of boxes, and I can see why he's coming in. And if he wins the Morgiana, he's just only going to get shorter. Definitely.
We don't think Envoy, Len and Shiskin are going to go here. We think they're going to stay over fences, and they're probably going to be hard to beat. But just one horse I want to touch on, and is probably going to turn into the honeysuckle show from now until March, because I was raving about Honeysuckle for this race last year. I think what she did in the Hatton's Grace was unbelievable, and then the Irish Champion Hurdle, I think she would have went for the Champion Hurdle if she didn't jump the last at the Dublin Racing Festival the way she did. She obviously lost a couple of lengths to Petit Mouchoir, but managed to get it back, which suggested, I think, to a lot of people that she needed the further trip. But if Honeysuckle was to go for this race, I would give her a great chance. I think she's a lot slicker. We saw in the males hurdle, she was a lot slicker over her hurdles. I think as well, just she's got that turn of foot that I think is very, very difficult to go against in the champion hurdle. Plus, the jockey-horse relationship really, really stands out to me because I think Rachel Blackmore is one of the best in the business.
Definitely, and she gets a £7, which is becoming more and more useful as well. So she's rated 158, bump her up to 165 for that.
Yeah,
would make her probably a solid second favourite at the minute. The Irish champion hurdle form, though, I don't think is that good. And I think if you're going to take them on, I think last year was probably the year to do it instead of this year.
Yeah.
There's indications that this is going to be a stronger renewal. The Irish champion hurdle, she bunny hopped the last. Katie Mouchoir, who's probably done it at this level, was within a length. The other star half a length. Collateral form, the other star behind Epitant is quite significant.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to bridge that gap over Cheltenham, but yeah, if it's a wide open renewal and if it cuts open again, then she's entitled to take a chance. But
we can only dream. We can only dream of Honeysuckle. Is there any horses about 20-1 or further that you want to mention just before we get into a couple of stats about the race?
There are a few big prices. Bouverdaire needs respect, but you won't be seen until Christmas. 2-time winner of it, obviously.
Yeah.
He'd be the highest rate in the field, and if he could get back to that form, he's way overlooked. But he's 9 now, and he's probably got a bit of welfare issue to prove. As is Soldi, but I think he's very interesting at the prices. 25-1. He won the Morgana last year. He's entered in it here.
Yes.
And when he won it was a fairly electric performance. He won it by 2.5 lengths. He was 7-1 for the champion hurdle before he pulled out because of injury. And that says a lot about his talent. And he's only 6. And in the Triumph, it's always only run at Cheltenham where he jumped absolutely horribly.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But he was in 2018. He was upsides Esquire Dallin in a Grade 3, and he was going to beat him. I think he was going to beat him quite well until he fell. Right, Dallin came on and won. He went on to win a champion hurdle, 2 other Grade 3s before he sadly passed away. So Soldi's got unfinished business if Willie Mullins can get him right. I think 25-1 is quite big at the prices. Sharjah needs a bit more respect as well. You don't know he's going to go there. Maybe better ground, considering improved effort on the day, but he's unlikely to get it. They always water it in day one.
Yeah.
He's another one at big prices, and the rest I don't think are good enough. But maybe one will spring down the line. But yeah, Soldi, Sharjah, Bouverdaire will probably be the 3 if you're looking for a bit of value against the market leaders. Yeah,
I think I would go with Bouverdaire. I would like to hopefully recovers from what that terrible injury he had last season. But if he returns and does what he did, and that even last year, I think it could be a danger. We'll move on to a couple of stats. I'm just going to ask you're the statistician in this show. Which are stats we've got that we can hopefully give the viewers a couple of rules to follow for the big race in the first day.
Top 5 for trains. GP McMahon has won the last 4 renewals of the champion hurdle. 5 of the last 7 have been with 4 different horses. Yeah, so that's been quite impressive. 8 of the last 11 winners have been age 6 or 7. So I mean, the younger the better it tends to be now. 6 of the last 10 winners have been favourites, so it's a good race for punters. 9 of the last 12 winners have been trained by Willie Mullins or Nicky Henderson, and the last 12 winners have been at least rated 157 or higher. So look for class, and the most rated Bouverdaire's first champion hurdle 2017, he was rated 157.
That was a terrible race. Do you remember that? That was a terrible race.
Yeah, it was wide open, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, became the best of a bad bunch. I think I backed Brain Power that year, which summed up how ridiculous that was. I think
I followed the bet, and I think I went for Yanworth, but nah, that was a mistake, and that was certainly the last time I backed Yanworth. But it's the big race in the opening day, and we're looking forward to it. We'll probably be touching on it. I will be previewing it again later on in the series, but that is your early look at the Unibet Champion Hurdle. We'll move on to what's coming up next. What's coming up this weekend? We've got the big Cheltenham November meeting coming up. the big race is the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Who's your kind of thinking for the big race at the November meeting this week, Cal?
Mr. Fisher, I think's got a good chance of 155. I think he's a bit immature in the Ryanair. He's fourth behind three really good horses in front of him.
Yeah.
Yellen, Sam Crow. I think he's got unfinished business over that trip for sure. He's exciting. He's only 6. I think he's really progressive, and if he wins this, he emerges as a valid player for the Ryanair. I think one at a price I quite like is Feedux.
Right.
Alan King, if he goes here, it's interesting. His form figures. He's won seven races in 3 spells, and every time he's backed up. So in the last 3 he's won 1-1, and then 5 months of doing nothing, and then 1-1, and 5 months of doing nothing, 1-1. He's won last time out by a short head, and he's out again in his reappearance. So that points to potentially a win. He's quite streaky. Alan King is similar as a trainer.
Yeah.
I think he's about 16-1. If he takes his chance, and the rain has to stay away from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's interesting for me.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to take you on with a Cheltenham Festival winner last year. I'm going to take you on with Simply the Bets. Off a mark of 157, he's potentially, I think he's top weight. I think I'm right, he's top weight. But I think class is going to show. I think this is the best. He's the best horse in the race. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think as well, just jumping. I think his jumping's just very good. Proven at the track. I think he's got good form. I love the Imperial Warrior, Simply the Bets form. That form book I mentioned last week, Imperial Warrior's obviously franked it, so I fancy Simply the Bets to do the same. I think he's a very good chance and runner off a mark of 157. We'll move on to the Greatwood Hurdle. That's the big kind of hurdle handicap. I quite like Timed White for Paul Nicholls off a mark of 141. I wouldn't say he's got the best form in the book, but I certainly think he's one of the best travellers. Whether he stands up, I think he's won pretty well round Cheltenham before, so he'll be very interesting for me. But who are you going to take me on with?
I like Edwardstone in this.
Yeah.
Again for Alan King, and like Feedux, he's off a mark of 142 as well, ironically. But he was 6th in the Supreme, which seems red hot.
Yeah.
It was a red hot race, and a mark of 142. In the Supreme, I think he was a bit bogged down as well. I think he likes good ground, so I'll be hoping that the rain continues to stay away for Alan King's pair. Yeah, that might be quite some double come the weekend, but Edwardstone, I think 6-1 is quite fair as well.
Yeah, I think it's a very good chance. Yeah.
Like him must have a chance, and I think King's won the last 3 races of the Greatwood Hurdle as well. Right? So the race he likes to target.
Brilliant. Well, but before that, we'll see the big duel of the 1-2 in the cross country last year. They'll be up again at Cheltenham. Easy's Land will take on Tiger Roll in the cross country. What do we think of this, Calum? I'm in Easy's Land's corner. I think Easy's Land's obviously the more proven horse. I think Tiger Roll, you can't knock Tiger Roll for what he's done. He's the 4-time festival winner, 2-time Grand National winner. I just think Easy's Land's going to find him. Going to just be too quick.
Yeah, probably, but I'd prefer the ground seems to be quite quick, unusually for the cross country.
Yeah.
Going stick was 6.9, and there's not a lot of evidence it'll be softer than that. That will play to the hands of Tiger Roll, I think, over Easy's Land. And Tiger Roll's had a run this season.
Yeah.
The French hasn't. And Easy's Land made a horrendous mistake halfway through the cross-country race. He almost fell over the smallest obstacle about.
Yeah.
I thought, forget that slightly. Potter's Corner as well goes here. He's won a Welsh national, so the likes of Easy's Land and Tiger will go in these cross-country races. It does attract the occasional bit of class, and Ganwell's been over cross-country, mixed success, might bite as well. So it might not be completely a 2-horse race all the way through with these pair. I think the market's right. Easy Land has to be favourite for some races here, but it might just be a watch and see. That it might be worth having a save on Tiger Roll. I think he's entitled to get closer than he did in March.
It will be very, very interesting to watch. But on Sunday, we've got a 3-day meeting, and on Sunday we'll see the return of Defy Desoy. He'll return in the slower chase. This could be a very, very exciting race, but do we think Defy Desoy, if he's back to what he was last year before the champion chase, he should win?
Yeah, but this is an interesting race, potentially the best of the weekend. You've got the last two Arkle winners taking on the last two winners of this renewal, and David Desailly and Stu Royale have won this race before they beat Duke de Geneva and put the kettle on here.
Yeah.
Last two Arkle winners, so it's an exciting race, and I think it's wide open. You can make a case for any of them at the minute.
Yeah.
Rouge Vif as well.
Yeah, won a very good handicap, yeah.
He might be my selection at prices at this point, but yeah, I'm happy to wait for the day for that one.
Definitely. I just think if David Desailly is back to what he was before the Champion Chase last year, it'll be very, very hard to beat. And I think he could potentially blow the Champion Chase wide open, because he's sitting about 10-1 just now. If he wins the way he did last year, he won't be 10-1. He could even be favourite in the market after that. But that's a very potential interesting race on Sunday. Have we any fancies on the November meeting over the weekend that we've not spoke about, Calum, for yourself?
So the Supreme Trial is interesting. Third Time Lucky is going to run
that.
that.
I think he's a very good chance.
He's probably quite good for the Skeltons, I think, and that frank's some important form last season.
Yeah.
Look, the bumper seems strong. Fire Step for Nicky Henderson in the Sunday bumper. He could run. I think there's a few that are quite interesting. Israel Champ won that last year, and he was shortest price of the Brits to go off for the bumper, even the champion bumper, even though he didn't run his race. But like Bally Andy have won that race before, and a long time ago Rock on Rubies won it. So it's informative contest normally. But yeah, it's going to be a good meeting. It's always a good 3 days.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to it. But there's also a big race in Ireland. We've got the Morgiana Hurdle on Sunday at Punchestown. We've already spoke about it briefly, but I think San Roy, if conditions suit, I think it's going to be very, very hard to beat here.
Yeah, he's the most progressive, you'd like to think, out of them. I think Super Sunday's a bit... He's done... I think he was really heavy in his reappearance as well. He really needed it. But I don't think this will be up his street. More of a stayer now these days anyway. But he'll set the pace probably, so at least it's going to be a strong pace, I think. And that gives something for Avacadabra to aim at as well, maybe for a redemption. But this is a quick round.
Yeah, we've seen the form. We've seen the form that's Morgiana's produced in the past. We've got Faugheen's won it. We've had some very, very good winners of this, and I think it's the big early marker for the champion hurdle. But
Willie Mullins has won the last 9 races of this, so
it's everything screaming San Roy.
Tonight towards St. Roy or Soldy could go this. He won it last year, so yeah, it's going to be a fascinating race, and whatever wins it is going to certainly bolster its champion hurdle claim.
Definitely, but that's what's coming up over the weekend. Move on to our Ante Post picks for the second episode. Last week, Calum tipped up Cobbler's Way at 50-1 for the RSA Chase, and I tipped up Bob Ollinger to win any race at the Cheltenham Festival at 14-1. Calum, I'll give you the floor again. Who have we got in your second week of Ante Post picks?
It's another 50-1 shot.
Is it?
It's Flying Scotsman in the Triumph Hurdle.
Right. Okay.
He's rated 97 over the flat, 87, sorry, over the flat. He won in the Galway Festival on the flat in 2 days in a row, which is quite something that shows his resolution for the game. This is a race that he targets his best juveniles at big time. I mean, Fakadere was so good that he went for the Supreme.
Yeah.
But in recent years, it's a race that he targets. GP McManus owns him, which is always a positive because it's a race that he likes. And just going through the renewals, it's son of Galileo as well. It's very progressive. A Weave by the Sea, Cerberus ran in the Triumph last year for Joseph O'Brien, GP McManus. Nearly finished 6th and 7th. But between 2015 and 2019, these two have had a far better dominance of that field rather than what they showed before. I mean, 2019 you had Sir Eric. I
loved Sir Eric. Absolutely loved him.
Tragic. He was really short, and it was one of the worst things I think I've seen in a race course.
Yeah, it was awful.
Gallons to Babylon went 3rd, and Fakir Duduri went to the Supreme, and obviously he was in the Arkle. 2018 they didn't have a runner, but 2017 Land of Hope and Glory.
Yep.
He was quite good, the handicapper. He was 5th in the Triumph for that combination, and a GP-owned horse won it with Defi de Soy that year.
Yep.
And 6 in Charlie Park, which was the second favourite to the favourite Defi de Soy. 2016, Ivanovic Gorbachev won it.
Yep.
Braden O'Brien.
Backed it.
Braden O'Brien at 9-2, and what is worked out is an incredibly great race of the Triumph. And he's probably not done himself justice, but just to run off some of the horses that he beat. Apple's Jade was second, Footpad third, Clan the Elbow sixth, Frodo on 8th, Scour Royal 12th, Who Dares Wins, a Royal Ascot winner 14th. So that form is quite incredible. And GP McManus has had either the favourite or the winner of the Triumph in the last 4 renewals. And he's 2 before 2019, obviously.
Yeah,
it's just a race at the target, and at this stage, the obvious is plain there to see. But the Triumph hurdle's a developing market. If you start following these novices with maybe a 50-1 poke like Flying Scotsman is, it just sets the ball rolling, and it allows you to just monitor the markets a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. That's a great selection. I'm really, really looking forward to Flying Scotsman running. I love the JP connection in the Triumph hurdle. Always look any JP juvenile I just look out for, because that's where I think the winner always comes from in the Triumph. But I'm really, really excited about that. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Well, 2 episodes in, and we know already that you're going to be the one who's going to bring these wild 50-1 shots out, whereas I'm going to go closer to the front of the market. And this week, you've went 50-1, I've went 3s.
Oh, well.
I have went for the best horse in training, Honeysuckle, to win any race. Now, I'm just going to explain why before anything. Honeysuckle runs next week in the Hatton's Grace. Yeah. If she wins that the way she does, she's going to be, 5-4 for the Mares Hurdle? Mm-hmm. Right? And if I would love to see her run the Champion Hurdle, but I do think she'll go for the Mares Hurdle again. She won't be 3-1 next week, so I'm going to get her in early. I'm going to 3-1 Honeysuckle to win any race, and I'm going to give myself the satisfaction of the fact that I've not got her just for the Mares Hurdle. I've got her for any race at the festival, so she could potentially go champion. I'm all over it at 3-1. So you went for 50-1, I went for 3-1. So I know who the viewers will be lumping on this week.
Yeah, Flying Scotsman, interestingly, he does have an entry on Saturday. He punches down the 3-year-old.
Does he? Brilliant.
Scotland Elliott's running some of his high flyers in as well. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have tipped up if I didn't spot that late entry.
Yeah,
he still might not run, but you can see the plan, you can see the thinking behind it, and it's a stable tour. He didn't mention many 4-year-olds. He was one that he did mention. And I think that's notable as well. And the way he won at Galway as well stuck in my mind. Doing it 2 over 2 days, so he's probably quite forward, and yeah, he's certainly got the resolution for it. So yeah, I'm quietly hopeful that I might have picked the right one. But there's probably about 20 or 25 other potential Triumph horses that we don't know about yet. So
get them in early.
Still in the water for me yet, but yeah, I'll take it seriously later down the line.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. And that is us for this week. I want to thank Calum again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show.
Pleasure as always.
Thanks. We will be back next week. We will review what's been happening over the weekend and over the course of the week, and we will preview the big meeting at Haydock, where we see the return of Lost in Translation for the Betfair Chase. I'm very, very excited about this race, and we will bring it to you next week. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Cheers.